Hi, everybody. Namaskar. I'm Anjali Swami. And yesterday I had a very, very enjoyable, interesting, and a very effective session with Kamlesh Kapur. And just to remind you, it was on traditions, philosophy, and culture, reversing the tide, a multi-pronged strategy. We were a little short of time. There were a lot of questions which we were not able to answer. So we want to actually tie up all the threads. And there were certain clarifications that were needed specifically on some questions on caste. Also, there was some questions on the academic disconnect, which is currently raising a lot of questions. So there were a lot of points that were raised. So we decided to bring Kamlesh Kapur ji back. Welcome back, Kamlesh ji.
Thank you. Thank you. And namaskar again. Yeah, I don't need to introduce myself, but I took, like a very studious person, the notes from all these 2 days. And I noted that some of the very crucial points relating to fundamentals of both cultural ethos as well as Hindu Dharma itself, they were left kind of hanging where they could find the problem and pointed out the problem, but could not deal with any kind of solution. Also, it was hanging loose. For example, one person said that Hinduism is not Hindutva. And then the second person said that no, Hinduism is Hindutva. And the third person says that let's not talk about it. You see? So, and naturally your audience, I mean, all of them are learned people in different fields. So the question is what exactly it is. It is so much being talked, it should be dismantled and it should be routed out, and this is offspring of BJP and Savarkar or big names. Now,
so sorry to interrupt, Kamlesh ji, because you're going in that direction. I want to throw one more question at you because it's related. So I don't want to come back to it because I think you can answer both of them together. So this is a question from yesterday. And again, it's related to Hinduism only. That how is it that the Hindu consciousness can be raised as being one consciousness? Because right now the Hindus, each one of them, they think they are different from each other. Somebody follows one sect, somebody follows another sect. So is there one platform? Can there be one platform for the Hindus? So when you answer the question on Hinduism, could you please answer this question on one platform for Hindus within the United States?
I think it is not just a question of the United States. We should have one platform, which is fundamentals of Hindu Dharma. First of all, do not use the word Hinduism, because we are not religion. Otherwise, you would be saying that Dharmapatni means religion wife. Pani ka dharm hai, behna. So religion of water is this. So let us be clear. I do not use the word religion, and I do not use the word Hinduism. Ism means, by definition, there is a canon, there is a set rigid and one book. You cannot go around it. So therefore, to answer your question, the common platform is to address the fundamentals. So concept-based learning and pointing out the relevance of that today. You see, common platform is not to tell the South Indian, Southern India, the rituals. Ritual again is a very wrong term, mistranslated. And the sampradayas. That's fine. These are ways of connecting with the divine in different ways, and different people find different paths. So we are not bothered about that. In fact, one of the scientific aspect of culture is that we accept ignorance is there, because tamas is fundamentally there. So we do not deny and we do not consider tamas is sin. Tamas is everybody is born with some sanskar and tamas. And gradually they adjust to the reality of this entire universe or world or their own surroundings. So there is not one path. And path of devotion, offering reverence, they can go through evolution. It can be just innate in me, or it can be on a common platform. But it certainly is not focused on the temple. It is not focused on the priest. It is the self. Only three things are there in Hindu Dharma. One is, who are you? Talking about all these big things, universe and Lord Shiva, creation. Who are you? Know yourself. So this is Atma Bodh. And then there is who is this entire uh, uh, entire universe. So, or Prakriti, the material manifestation of the divine. So we connect with the Prakriti. And I'll tell you some ways to do it at a very young age. We can do that. And then the third thing is, what is the cosmic reality? Now, cosmic reality, by the time the child comes to that particular point, he may be having or must have knowledge of physics, because material manifestation does mean combinations of uh, molecule and anu and pramanu in different combination. What is the difference between you and me is that composition, right? And then the chemical tattvas and the five elements, you may be having air, air and space component on a very high scale, and you are always thinking, and that is vata type. So there are three types. So there is no such thing as one uniform kind of application of dharma or the way to follow. You see, for me and for most Hindus, I don't think in Punjab or any place, going to temple every day or on Sunday is a must. We go when we feel like it or when there is a festival. And this pravachan business also is not relevant because it is your point of view versus mine. So I don't believe in that kind of system unless the person is really knowledgeable and no ego. So that is the answer to your question, that we do believe in global humanism. Vasudev Kutumbakam, it means is that the whole world is a family. We share a planet along with 8.4 million species. And all of them did not evolve at the same particular way or in the same degree. So it is a spiraling kind of evolution, both of the consciousness and of the physical body.
Right. So Kamlesh, I think from what you're saying and from what I'm understanding, and I can summarize for everyone, that when we are talking about finding a common platform, there is a common platform, and that common platform in Hinduism is that we are all Atman. We all accept each other at the level where we are. We are all at different levels, whether you are going to a temple, whether you're following a ritual, it is your own way of connecting to the divine. And we all have, it's our prerogative, it's our privilege. We can connect to the divine whichever way we want to, but we have to be accepting of the other person, right?
Yeah.
And respect. So I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, because the journey of finding the self, understanding the self, connecting with the own self through meditation or other thing, that itself is very individual path. You see, some way of connecting is different than the other. Some applies to you, some to me. And by the way, do not use the word ritual because it is a Latin word. Root is right. So let us use the word sanskar we really have to retrain our own mind to use the right kind of thing. We are not going to use Hinduism. We are not going to use the word ritual. And we are not even going to use the word prayer. Prayer means asking for something in return. What we are doing is showing reverence. So when we say Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, we are actually expressing or saying an aspiration. So Vedic chants are all addressed to different energies in the nature, and those energies are, we are aspiring to please them. You see? So, for example, a child has to be grounded who the person is. So when they come to fill the columns, and in India they have caste, useless, the child doesn't know what is caste. And he should not be thrown things that he has not experienced or not part of his innate thinking yet. So that word should not be, category should not be. Here, the categories are white, black, Latino, and then suddenly others. And in between there is Asian. Now the first are language-based, the two are color-based, the third one is language-based, the fourth one is lumping region-wise. So these categories should not be there. Because when someone asked me in the hospital on the telephone, filling up the pro forma, they said, who are you? You are obviously not a Christian. I say, yeah, you are not a Muslim. You see, this is assumption. Right now, you can see there's a prejudice, prejudgment from my accent that I am not this, I am not this, okay? So she did not allow me to see who I am. By the time I was about to say who I am, she said, never mind, I'll put it others. Now that otherness, this is now about 16 years back, I said that my grandchildren will not face in the schools that otherness. They are individuals, they have identity, and they have a background and depth of that background. So, and let others be aware of it. So my job is to create the correct awareness. So it is up to the child to do the rest. I'm just putting the outline that this is, you are jumping from here to here and here, that is a path. And if you are jumping a little bit sideways, unsteady, that is part of life, right? Okay. So coming back to the first Hindutva, because that is the one word that here, besides caste, that let us whip the Hindus with Hindutva, without understanding what is that. Hindu Tattva. Tattva is essence. What is the sar, essence of Bhagavad Gita? That is Hindutva. So Hindutva cannot be something like a principle. It is the very core essence of Dharma, right? So Hindutva is Dharma, but which part of Dharma is not what you learn in the temple or do in the temple, not the yajna, not the practical aspects, not the convictions. The essence is the philosophy. So you have psychology. When Shri Krishna says, who are you? And he says, I am Kunti Putra. This is identity. He is telling his identity. And that brings us to the point also that it is relevant to say who I am born from. You see, that is my identity, jati. Okay. So, and then the child has to know from the emotional, not that the whole universe, the God, who knows where that is. You know the immediate surroundings. What is your word, right? So that is the way to go. So Hindutva is the philosophy. It requires knowledge of psychology. If you do not know the psychology 101, then you cannot understand Sankhya, and you cannot understand the Mimamsa in a psychological way. And then you also cannot understand what the mind goes through. You see, the whole thing is about the mind. So Sri Krishna says, Arjuna says that my mind is wandering around and, the whole thing. But the point is, what is mind? Huh? So mind is manasthiti, and it absorbs day-to-day happenings and translates. So there is a very beautiful book. It is called Drishya Vivek. What the eye sees, the third eye sees, what the third eye sees, the mind sees, what the mind sees, the Atma sees, and what the Atma sees, nobody else is witness to that. You see? So this is Manovigyan, psychology. That is fundamental to understanding Hindu Dharma. That is the essence, Hindutva. And then there is philosophy. And then there is physics. Sheshika is practical physics. 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is physics. Entire Vedas is physics. It is energies, different energies, and we focus on that. When you are every day offering prayers, and you say Varunaya Namaha, obviously there is a Varun Devata, and we are offering prayers to the nature. So nature worship is fundamentally Hindutva. Fundamental things are Hindutva, the essence of Hindu. Fundamental is not that in the morning you are saying prayers. Of course, you can say the prayers on an allotted time, or your whole life is like a prayer devoted to such causes, and that is an evolutionary process. Everybody reaches, some don't, and some reach earlier than the others. Okay, so that is the evolution of the consciousness. So this is now Hindutva. Let us not go into any further thing. By the way, the temples, we never had temples in Indian tradition. The first temples were built by Kushans, and they came in 38, I think AD, somewhere along in that period. So very first century. And they started from Afghanistan. There was in the museum a sun temple where the sun deva is sitting with leather boots. You see, imagine sun devata in leather shoes and white marble. And why is that? Because they are coming from Mongolia up north. Obviously, they are wearing big boots. Whereas in tropical country, we are going barefoot in the temples and everything. So what I'm saying is that we used to have shrine, Gauri shrine, or we have this shrine, or we go to the Himalayas for meditation and discipline, ashrams. But we did not have temple going. And temple going is not a must, especially in America. Everybody knows everybody, and it becomes a social gathering, and more of the priest is doing the prayers and people are showing off their clothes, the latest fashions. And it is absolutely a superficial atmosphere. And I could not believe that if you come out, some of the guys are sitting there, standing there, smoking the cigarette. It is their cigarette path. So you see, let us not go into temple going with a must. Let us make, the more you multiply the temples, the farther away you are going from the actual essence. I would rather spend 2 days, 2 hours every day, just reading one shloka and understanding how it is to be explained to a child, right? About the mind. Mind is chanchal. Shri Krishna, Arjuna says, my mind is like clouds. It wavers in this way, that way. isn't it the mind is like a cloud, forever restless? And the 2 lines, hardly 8 words. Sanskrit is a very brief language in that way. A packed of meaning, just few words. So he says, asanshayam mahabaho manodur nigraham chalam. There is no doubt, Arjun, that the mind is restless. It moves in every direction and it is not a steady thing. Then he says, abhyasen tu kanteya, that you practice it, right? You practice it, and vairagya grahite. That means that you be detached. This is the way to get the focus of mind and get yourself away from delusion, confusion, this path or that path, dilemma. You see, now these are very relevant issues. Humanity has faced this always. We are now going to ashrams to de-stress, right? We go to yoga for de-stress. We go to Vipassana centers to have guided meditation. What are these? That means there is something like mind which is overstressed and which is burdened with mundane things and taking us away from the real duties. Correct? So that is why we do have to understand the fundamentals of Hindu Dharma, and that essence Hindutva had certain key component. And I am going to read those components. I think I did make a note. And these are scientific. We believe that there is a highest unit of time given for each life on each planet. We call it yuga. Yuga is a spiral motion of time-space. So the theory of relativity is innate in this deep philosophy. And then there are peaks and declines of civilization in that spiral thing. Then there is Kalpa theory, measurement of time, 4.32 billion years. Then there is the indestructibility of matter. Indestructibility of matter means 3-4 things. You see, 3-4 things are that nothing dies, it vanishes to become something else, metamorphosis. So the plant dies, next year it will come up in a different way, you see. So this is a common sense kind of thing. If the matter is indestructible, so is consciousness. Atma is also indestructible. So it changes different avaran, say body. So matter does change forms. So there is innate in that is karma theory. How does matter change? There is a principle behind that whatever are your karma, your next birth is metamorphosis. After that is that. What will you come out after that? Metamorphosis. So matter changing form. These are all scientific things which they say the West discovered. And then we say indestructibility of Atma and reincarnation. It believes in recycling of all energies and all matter. If transformation is not there, then there is no recycling. So it means that the resources are to be conserved, preserved, and the least harm to the ecosystem. Not one species should master all the other species and destroy the ecosystem. People are talking about climate change and blah, blah, blah. It is our fault. We are destroying one species and so many species in the water itself that it is sinful. Okay.
Kamlesh, sorry to interrupt, but I have a question. So I know this is tremendous information and very, very enlightening. But to our Indian community, like as a very basic first step, when people want to, yeah. So when there's a very basic first step, what should we do if we have to connect to other people?
Unless we understand what is there to be understood, how can you explain? So therefore, there are two more points. One is immutable laws of nature. You see, there is no such thing that you are born a sinner, and there's no such thing that there is you confess and your sins are absolved. Nothing can ever be cancelled. T0 time, next minute will be T1 time, and it has already replaced. So it cannot be free of the karmic or causal effects. So this is for the parents to understand before they translate it or transmit it. So the difference between the divine law and the karmic law. Now this is again highly philosophical. This is Hindutva. The essential parts are global humanism and how to control mind. Now comes here, how do you teach? What do you teach to children? So I made that 4-year-old category. Actually, I started at 3, and I said that by the time they are 13 years old, they will really understand the fundamentals of Hindu Dharma. So I did not start with God business because they hardly know who they are. They are small children. It is beyond their experiential, emotional experience. So you just say, what is your name? Where are you? I am in Chesapeake. Where in Chesapeake? In this house. Who are your parents? Your identity. This is identity formation question. Then you take them to the backyard. You see, this is how you transmit knowledge. Very fundamental, deep issues, and how simply you can say. There is a difference between sense and common sense. So you have the sense, and now you are making common sense transmission. You see, there is a way of teaching. So you take them to the yard, any park, and you say that what does grass give? What does the sun give? It gives light, heat. Okay, what does the water give? The rain gives. And they will say, and I said, they give. Give means Devata, Deva. So sun is what? Devata. And by this time, the kids are so excited, small little babies, munchkins, that they are going around the entire yard wandering. This is Deva, this is Deva. Flower is Deva. It gives, because I made it relevant to them. So now Devas is clear. Now we don't say Vayu is God and we believe in multiple gods. What multiple gods? We are not even talking about. So anybody who translates Deva, Sanskrit chant is saying Deva, and how on earth in the next sentence you say it means God, Vayu God? Huh? So whether you write God with the G capital or G lowercase, it is not even a word in Sanskrit. So let's not map ourselves. So I had a discussion with our local priest, and I said, please don't use the word God. You are talking about prayer, Om Namah Shivaya and other. You are doing using the word Devata, Deva. Then you are saying God. He says this is for the English-speaking people. I say, in the Bible school, do they use Sanskrit for my benefit or Hindi for my benefit? Why do we overextend, assume that only the English word is they are going to? So don't use. The lexicon you create, terminology you create with the small children, that will stay. For example, to this day, after 20 different lessons I have given, the very same person will be saying rituals. And I go like this, I failed as a teacher. If in my presence after 20 lessons, you are still using the word God, gods, goddesses, rituals, and mythology. What is mithya? Ram existed, his exact date is given on the basis of astronomy. Mahabharata happened, Sri Krishna wrote. If Sri Krishna was a myth, then who wrote Bhagavad Gita? And sometimes I am very rude. I say, तुम्हारे बाप ने लिखी थी भगवद गीता? भगवद गीता किसने लिखी थी? So कृष्ण थे, अगर उनका नाम कृष्ण नहीं था, कुछ और था, तो वो थे ना. उनका बर्थ कब हुआ? उन्होंने कब कंस को मारा? Everything is astronomically mapped out. The only problem with us is we think that every answer to our question is from the WhatsApp. You see, which is, and every answer is given in 3 minutes. So when I created the lessons for 45 minutes, people ask me, can you make it 5 minutes? How can you make it 5 minutes? For the minimum for a small child is 15 minutes, because that is their attention span. You are grown up, for heaven's sake. You cannot concentrate for 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Then that means you have not built the focus. Your mind is not steady. Okay. So I can go on and on.
Yeah, so Kamlesh, so one very important point that you have raised here, that when you're talking about Hinduism, we are not speaking religion, we are not speaking rituals, we are talking about the entire nature, the entire cosmos, the entire creation. So when somebody says they want to dismantle Hinduism, they are talking about dismantling the creation, they are talking about dismantling our own state of mind, right?
They have an understanding that Hindu is a ism and it is a religion. And since this religion has to be destroyed, you see, the world at this time is a power play. It has always been a power play. So power play is, the chess game is always between two people. Either you win or I win. Third party is not player in that. They can be watching or be affected by it. So the war between the power play between the Islam and Christianity, Hindus are an extraneous factor. So let us destroy them, then we deal with each other. You see, you have to know some political, historical background of my next book. If I am alive to finish that, is war on cultures. You see, so they don't destroy you like with the swords. Now the war is on a cultural front. They demolish your one ang, tradition, and the other, and the other, and the other, on the name of empowerment of women, on the name of freedoms and equal rights of women, and whole nonsense. And Hindu girls who are studying in Columbia University, they are promoting it. They don't use the word Hindu, they use the word South Asian diaspora. Whatever is it. You see, human abuses. So what I'm saying is that what they are destroying is the Hindu philosophy. That's a threat. That is a threat. If we are going to conquer them, we are never going to conquer them by invasion, and they know that. We will conquer them with yoga, with the Dharma, and this whole business of quantum theory. That is nothing but Vaisheshika, theory of relativity. So all of these, they are very threatening to them. And that is why they are talking about the caste system and some idiotic stuff, and not exactly what Hindu Dharma is.
Yeah, because it's not, when you say religion, as you rightly said, it's not religion, it's not dharma, it is your evolution of your own consciousness for any human being that exists on this
Yes,
earth.
yes,
Whether they study in Columbia or, whether they don't study at all, that consciousness exists within themselves. How can they dismantle that consciousness? How can they dismantle this creation? So it's just a lack of understanding, it's ignorance. And I think, my sympathies to them, my best wishes, maybe someday, wisdom dawns on them, may God bless them with understanding. That's all I can say.
it
But
won't happen. Let me tell you, I'm hopeful for many things, but it won't happen because those girls are going to be professors. All these professors in American universities, they are anti-Hindu. All these congresswomen, they are anti-Hindu and they are Hindus. So therefore, that is not going to happen because their rosy roti, their livelihood depends on it. Their survival depends on it. So therefore, I am not even bothered about that. I am bothered that my next generation of small children, your small children, how are they going to get a deeper understanding of Dharma so that they are not getting indoctrinated?
So when you're talking about deeper understanding of Dharma, one more question, which was posed yesterday and I couldn't ask you, it was about casteism, because this is another area where Hindus are attacked. And
Our system?
Caste system. And how can we bring Hindu consciousness over caste consciousness? This was a question which was asked. And I know that you have a very relevant article which you had shared. So if you would like to share, and just
Yes.
flash that.
Yes. We are done with Hindutva, what it is. Okay. So let us not discredit it. Let us not isolate it from the Hindu Dharma itself. It is the fundamental cornerstones, our way of life, our faith tradition, based on a very scientific ground. Okay. Absolutely. So that part is over. Now, the second thread which was hanging loose is about the caste system, right? Caste this, caste that. I'm going to read just, and somebody said this morning that caste was introduced in the Shudra was, untouchability was started in 6th century. That is so not true. 3rd century, 4th century, the Greeks did not mention that. They mentioned there were 6 classes, and this is in the Indica. So the 6 classes are the soldiers, the Rajgurus, Guru, and then the administrators, and then the farmers, and then the craftsmen, and then the last one was Chandal, who used to do the removing the skin of the animals and do. That's it, 6 classes. So there is no such thing 4. And about the caste system, the basic misunderstanding is, who was Manu? Manu. And they say that this is the beginning of times that Manu made the caste system. What beginning of time? Beginning of time, there was a Swambhav Manu, and he was before the Vara Kalpa. So Vara Kalp started, and the first Manu was Swambhav.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we don't know. This is the history of, going back, who he was and what did he do, what was the writing system at that time, where is it written, on which stone or inscription. So they are not sure. Manu Samriti was written in the 2nd century BC. So he was a contemporary as a philosopher, as a writer, who codified it. Samriti itself is later than the Shruti. Oral traditions came first, and then Samritis came. So Samriti was 2nd century.
Actually, when you say about Smriti and Shruti, another very important thing about these traditions that we are talking about. A lot of these wisdom that was passed from ages down, it did not happen just by reading, because from what I know, in ancient times, there was more stress on understanding, on gaining knowledge through intuition rather than just reading. Because if 10 people read 10 things, 10 minds will have 10 different interpretations. But if truth is one, so if you perceive truth through your intuition, right, through meditation and intuition, everybody will have the same understanding. So that was what was the essence of Hinduism.
Actually, poetry comes before prose. Prose requires grammar. Grammar came much later. So therefore, all the traditions, poetry was, so Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. To the dot, 21,000 verses of the Rig Veda and the Bhagavad Gita, 700 plus shlokas, they are poetry. So poetry is, I give them simple example that why we cannot get rid of the chants, right, and make it in English. The chants are in 56 rhythm schemes. How many rhythm schemes we have in Hindi, English, or any other language? 4. A, B, and like that. 4. So how can you translate 56 chandas, type of chandas, into English language? You can't. Okay. So that takes one thing. You have to accept chants. And yes, you must learn Sanskrit. Because if you know Sanskrit, you know the words in Persian, you understand. So therefore, Sanskrit knowledge, basic knowledge, not that you are going to read Vedas or Kalidas. You see, 3-4 years of learning does not enable you to go there. Okay. So your question was oral tradition. So the importance of, when you are raising a child, when you are raising the child, you are teaching them poetry, right? Nursery rhymes. You are not teaching them the story. You're teaching them. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water, right? Now that thing, 5,000 years back, it must be the same, and now also, because it's poetry. Where would you change it? Similarly, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, that's with the uranium. Now this is lyric. इसमें से एक भी note इधर उधर हो जाएगा ना, it will lose the, it is like music. It is music, lyrics. So notes हैं. एक भी note आधा सुर हो जाए ना, you fall apart.
Yes.
Therefore, chants are essential. And I'll also tell you later on the relevance of chants, because they understand chants better and they build focus. If you are chanting, वो कहते हैं कि पंडित जी 111 बार गायत्री मंत्र बोलो. The child says, am I crazy? I understood it the very first time. Yes, you understood the very first time. Now, you said the first time. Second time when you said it, your ears heard. Third time when you repeated it, it went to your mind and you absorbed it. Third time. Now you speak, say the same thing. Fourth time, it vibrates in the mind. The fifth time, it has a total reverberation in your body. So if you, as a musician, you know that कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आप एक गाना जो है वो सवेरे सवेरे याद आ जाता है, सारा दिन पीछे पड़ा रहता है. Unless you go and see कि ये किसने गाया था, कौन सा राग है, it bothers you. What is that? That means the vibration is there and it is lasting.
Exactly. Yes. Sound is vibration.
Exactly.
So,
and the sound, history of sound is also there. Within the body, the start of the sound is Nabhi. And then there are 3 stages, 3 scales. And same is the case with, in the evolution, sound started with a nad, hissing sound, Om. And then the Damaru. So these are the first sounds. Anyway, we are digressing. So your question was about the Shruti. Yes, commonly I put down in my book, most commonly chanted. So Gayatri Mantra is a must. You say it in the morning because it's prayer to the sun. Sun stands for enlightenment, speech, and enlightenment, knowledge, and everything else, right? And similarly, at night, uh, after all the day, you say the Shanti part, which is Om Deva Shanti Antarikshagam Shanti Prithvi, right? So, and that you keep on repeating. So what I did, I started with the, I mean, somebody asked how to teach the 4-year-old child. Take them to the yard, get them connected with give the opportunity to connect, not with the television, not with the stories, and certainly not with the video games and the that what is that called, mobile phone, right? So yeah, keep on saying this. Yeah. See, their attention span is really when my grandchildren come and the telephone must be in the car. You are coming to me visiting and that device is not coming here. You are giving me undivided attention.
Absolutely. I agree. This is becoming a big problem these days.
Big problem because it is the focus factor. The same children who could devote focus on 15 minutes on the same thing. Now they are doing all this because the screen is going to vanish. Their more attention is on the stupid screen than even on the message. You see, so that is the most fundamental device. Important device that should not be given to children. So
right, exactly. So this is what I think, this, it ties back to whatever you was initially we talked about, connecting to our own selves, because we are connecting to everything external and we are training our children to connect with everything external rather than connecting with our own selves. So I think connecting with our own self, that is that one platform that, call it, I mean, not only Hindus, I mean, any human being on this earth, they can connect to, right? It is beyond.
That is what global humanism is.
Yeah.
That at a fundamental level, we are all the same. Our needs are the same.
Same, right.
It is beyond food, beyond livelihood, beyond fame. Yes. There is a fourth dimension of peace.
Peace.
That is why Dharma, Artha, Kam, and Moksha. Moksha does not mean after we leave. Who cares who we are after we leave? Who knows? So the best is liberation now. Jivan Unmukti. You see? So there are small little books which every parent should read if they have not. It is less than 25 to 60 pages. I can send you and circulate. In fact, it is in my book. One of them is Atma Bodh, one of them is Tattva Bodh, and one of them is Drigdrishya Vivek. By the time you reach the Drigdrishya Vivek, it is pretty difficult. It requires, mind becomes dense after 5th page. So you have to read slowly. So what I'm saying that there are tools, there are ways, there is a plan, objective. What is my objective to teach the child? How I'm going to teach the child? Did I achieve what I wanted to teach? So every 5th day, I used to ask them random questions. Because every day when the car went to the school, they made the turn, all 3 of them started chanting Shanti Path. Every single day, Shanti Path. So one day I asked them that out of it says there be Shanti in Devalok, on the Prithvi, earth, here, there, everywhere. Which is the most significant word in there? In the entire 6, 7, 8 words. Now I'm checking, did they really learn something? I explained, they comprehended. Did they learn, absorbed it? So one person said, Brahma, Shanti Brahma. And my grandson said, Nani, it is Sarvagam. Sarvagam means everything, everywhere. Brahma is included. I mean, how profound for a 5-year-old child to come to this conclusion, right? So similarly, I used to ask. They were 4 years old, and I'm not bragging. 4 years old, and there was a hurricane here. It was called Isabel. Even I didn't know what is Isabel, because we are coming from north. So it was rain and rain, torrential, and really a hurricane. So my granddaughter said, Nani, all the devas are angry with us. Now, what that sentence means, it means they understood who Deva is. And when she used the word plural, she knew that more than 3 or 4 specific energies are involved, right? So I said, which Deva? One said Indra Deva, one said Vayu, one said Varun. And then the third one said Indra Deva. That comes in the cloud system. He is the lord of the cloud system. These are energies. Indra was born on this day and he was impotent or something, I shouldn't use that word. I mean, who talks like that? Let us not. We are minimizing the children born, their intelligence in this digital age. They are scientific human beings. They question. They are not going to listen to Nani's story and it happened. Okay. Now, caste and jati, I have to quickly read this.
Yes, Kamlesh, and if you can flash on the screen. Yes, that's right.
How do I flash?
Okay. Maybe you can share this document after we are done, and we can have it uploaded.
I sent it to you.
Yes, I got
it. But I will read it quickly. The caste, this is the English people saying, in 1920. I took it from their own gazette. It says, we pigeonhole, we, the English people, pigeonholed everyone by caste, and if we could not find a true caste for them, we labeled them with the name of hereditary occupation. We labeled them like Kumar and Weaver. We deplore the caste system and its effects on social and economic problems, but we are largely responsible for the system we deplore. So they created the system, they are using it as a whip. So this is, everybody should keep it in the pocket. So any person says, your caste system, what caste system? So you flash it. You see, put the other person on the defensive. Take the discourse in your own hands. You see? Absolutely. Learn something, strategy from the chess games, winning. And then he says, we are largely for that we deplore. Now, that is one. So who created it? Why created it? What is the effect? And we bozos accepted it. And our politicians used it as a vote bank. Okay. And now this is from the Buddhist sources. Buddha was going through Magad. And the king noticed, he said that this guy has such an aura, a royal kind of thing, and yet he is dressed like a beggar. So the king said that he should be asked to come near me, and we ask him questions, who are you? So they asked Buddha. The king asked Buddha, you look like royalty, but you are dressed as a beggar. Who are you? Now see what he says. He doesn't say my caste is this. He says, his answer was, my name is Siddharth. Jati is Shakya. Jati here means who gave me birth. Jatya, birth. So my Jati is Shakya. My Gotra is Gautam. Right? And now the Varan system, that what do I do for a living? That didn't apply to him. So he said, but now I am nothing and nothing belongs to me. This is the introduction. Where is the caste system? And this jati should not go away. Otherwise, if I am Kapur and the next person is Kapur also, you will lose, it will lead to the incest. Marriages within the cousins. So jati is very important. I would not be marrying a Chopra or a Khosla because that they are part of my larger extended ascendants. And so is that. This is very fundamental scientific thing कि 7 जातियों के परे जाना है. Because your blood group is the gene pool should not be the same. Okay. So, did the king ask him about his caste? No. Did he name his caste? No. So why we are not able to erase it from our thought process? That is the biggest question. Because most people either out of ignorance, mostly out of need of this as a propaganda tool, they try not to see the difference between these two. This is my answer. And my next comment is, there's a difference between sense, common sense, and nonsense.
So Kamlesh ji, just making aware of the time, we have already reached, and our next session is with Koti Tatachar. I think they are waiting, but this is extremely enlightening. And to summarize whatever Kamlesh ji said, I will only summarize it in a few words that Hinduism is not a religion. It is our state. Hindu Dharma. It's yes, we are connecting. We are connected with the entire nature. We worship the entire nature. We are talking about a state of consciousness in which we are living in peace and harmony with the nature. We are in love with the nature. We are preserving the nature. We are evolving our own state of consciousness. We are evolving as ourselves. So what is it that we are dismantling? That is a question to all the other people who want to dismantle. Is this really what you want to dismantle? Peace, harmony, love, and evolution from this planet?
Yeah.
Question to you.
You summed it beautifully. And I did not talk about the endowment temples. That was another question. And by the way, in less than 10 sentences, in my book, Hindu Dharma, a teaching guide, don't put it in the on the shelf, put it on the coffee table and read it off and on, so that your terminology, जो अभी भी Hinduism चल रहा है, वो धर्म बन जाए, and then ritual खत्म हो जाए, and worship word is not there. We revere nature, reverence.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kamlesh ji. Thanks to